Okay, so we're going to get started in a couple of minutes.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve day.
Yeah, and yeah, likewise. Actually, I think due to Thanksgiving, there's quite a number of the team who are out today. Like so we mostly have the folks from who are based in Dublin.
Gotcha. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so yeah, so why don't we get started then? So okay then. So I'm just going to go over the recent releases. So we've had the latest release of agent framework for Python. It includes support for declarative agents. So now you can kind of create agents using a YAML file and then basically load them and instantiate them that way. And the YAML file format is being aligned across various groups within Microsoft. So it's supported in Foundry and also M365. There's still some work to be done just to get everything to match up exactly, but by the time we're generally available, that'll all be resolved. We also have support for using Anthropic models hosted in Foundry. You can use Foundry evaluations within they're integrated within Agent Framework. There's samples showing how to use those two things together. And then there's lots of new samples and lots of bug fixes. So there was a lot of samples went in to demonstrate features that were being showcased at Ignite last week. So then on the .NET side, it's very similar. So there's an Anthropic agent package. We've updated everything to use .NET 10. Support for background responses in A2A agents, and again, kind of like lots of samples, So I've just picked some of the highlights for Python and .NET. If there's anything I've missed, if anyone on the call wants to come off and mute and mention anything. No, okay. And then for semantic kernel, there's just been a Python release. There hasn't been a .NET release in a couple of weeks. So, we'll try and get a new .NET release out next week. And the main change is the migration to the new Google Gen AI SDK.
Also, there's another change that was also part of this PR. The Azure Text Completion Service is marked as deprecated in this PR, in this release.
Okay.
Just
okay.
Yeah, just so the folks know.
And that's no longer supported in the service, right?
Yeah. So Azure no longer has any text completion models available.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay, so yeah, so that's all I had to share in terms of updates. So I can just open the floor up if anybody has any questions. Okay, so yep. So Mark, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, my question is more, I guess, general understanding. So maybe this is specific Ignite session videos to watch, but oh, bless you, trying to better understand how creating an agent in Microsoft Agent Framework and code, and how to deploy that to Foundry. And also, it seems like Foundry, the new Foundry, has lots of different capabilities of defining tools and other things. So if we define tools and flows, et cetera, inside of Foundry, how do we reference them inside of code? So that's, I'm just not clear on how that whole story fits together yet, and just looking for some additional guidance.
Sure. Okay. So there's a couple of different options here that are available, right? So Foundry provides an agent service. So the agent service allows you to define an agent, like, so give it, a name, a set of instructions, and then access to various tools. And there's a very broad range of tools that Foundry supports out of the box, right? So lots of MCPs, lots of specific ones, the ability to configure your own MCP endpoints, integration with Open API, code interpreter, integration with Azure AI Search, Bing Search. There's a very, very wide range of tools available. So if you create agents within the Foundry service, they're essentially hosted for you. Okay, so and using the new Foundry agent service, you have the ability to kind of version those as well. So it's very easy to kind of like for you to revert back to an earlier version and experiment with different versions of an agent side by side. So that's one option, right? Another option is that you build your agents using your framework of choice. So you could use Microsoft Agent Framework, you could use semantic kernel, although that's no longer recommended. You could use LangGraph if you wanted, right? So you could create your own agents, and then you can take advantages of the services available in Foundry, right? So available the models, and there is, I believe, a way to kind of like use the tools. There's a new tools client that's come out, but I'm not that familiar with the details of how that works yet. And then Foundry also provides capabilities where you can host those agents. So you can, take your agent, basically host it within Foundry, and then it appears within Foundry as an agent that's managed through Foundry, right? So if you set things up correctly, all of your telemetry will flow kind of like into Foundry, and you can take advantage of kind of like the models that you have deployed within your project and things like that. Okay, so does that help, or do you have more questions?
Well, so yeah, so generally that was my understanding, but I guess the part that I'm missing is where is an example of how do I take a Microsoft Agent Framework agent and deploy it to Foundry, and is that, it was announced at Ignite, but I'm not sure, is it currently available? Is there an SDK that I would use to deploy it? There was something talking about containerization. So do I have to build my container and I deploy the container to Foundry, or I'm not sure what the steps are to, if I take an existing MAF code agent and then I want to deploy it to Foundry, what do I do?
Okay, so we have a bunch of samples, and actually Sergey, do you want to come off mute and just kind of talk through that process?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just about to post a link. We have a bunch of samples, both for Python and .NET, showing how you can create an agent framework agent and host it in Foundry. And the process is simple. What you need to do is, first of all, you need to have a program CS files where you do that. And one of the lines at the end, one of the last lines, is basically you are calling a special API, and you're passing an instance of AI agent in as a parameter of that API. And what that API does is basically it exposes your agent via the RESTful endpoint. And the next step is to create a Docker image out of your agent or program.cs. For that, you will need to provide a Docker file and put it next to your program.cs. And after that, you also need so-called agent manifest. It's basically a YAML file describing the agent, the model agent requires, and a few more parameters. And the third component, or maybe fourth component of it, is Azure CLI AI agent extension. that component is responsible for like provision and deploying of the agent to Azure Foundry. What it does is basically using a bunch of bicep templates, and it creates an Docker image out of your agent, then deploy this image to Azure container, and then create Foundry agent pointing to that agent container. And for you, that agent is exposed via the OpenAI responses endpoint. And after the extension like finish execution, so you will be given the endpoint, you can contact your agent. And that's basically it, what you need to do, just like provide a bunch of the like assets and then call the extension, and the extension will do everything for you. So you don't need to do this. There is no manual steps. What you need to go to Azure, just like to grab the URL for the Docker container, then just you need to go to the Foundry, create an agent, specify the link. So nothing of that need to be done at all. Everything is managed for you by the extension. I'll send you a link in a second pointing to the samples.
Thanks. And this is for Python as well, right?
Yes, regardless whether it's C# or Python, it supports both.
Great. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Mark. So Amit.
Yeah, thank you. So I was building a workflow for my project, and I'm utilizing multi agents for that. So there are a couple of agents, and I'm using the handoff workflow using the agent framework. So my requirement is I don't need human input in that. So I'm sort of trying to build autonomous workflow where agents can interact with each other without any human input. But right now, every time there is a handoff, there is a human input required by the agent. Either it's approval or some type of text input. So is there a way we can build autonomous workflows orchestration in using agent framework?
Yes, yeah. So that should be possible. I'm surprised, like, that you're getting a human in, or like a human user input requested after each handoff. Tao, are you familiar with the handoff implementation in workflows?
Yeah, we are aware of the issue, and one of our devs is currently working on removing that human in the loop. How do you call it? Step from handoff, making that optional. It will become available, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, I have raised an issue on GitHub also. So I was just curious to know that, yeah, it will be supported. Then yeah, it's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Tao, is there any kind of workaround in the short term?
I'm not aware of a workaround, but I can take a look and see if there is one, and I can respond on the issue if there is one.
Okay, yeah, I think that'd be great, actually.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. So Shiad, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No one gets it right. In mine is not a question, actually. It's more of a situation, if I can say. So I'm using semantic kernel currently in the company, and we are trying to use the Google connector basically for the Gemini models, and we noticed a couple of bugs. One of them already has a PR, but it's pending for like a month, which is support for filters. For some reason, the filters in semantic kernel, again, this is in .NET, do not get called when we are using the Gemini model. And the second issue that we are noticing is that on the Gemini 3.0, the thinking budget is actually deprecated, and it's replaced with a new parameter, which is called, I believe, thinking mode or something like that. So it moved from basically an int configuration to a string configuration. And I'm just hoping if there's like any plan on actually, let's just say, supporting it better in this regard, or paying more attention to these connectors, because right now those are kind of a blockers.
Sure. Okay, then. So I'll take a look actually after this for the PR that's currently open, and the team has been very busy in the kind of run up to Ignite. Like, we're behind on doing a semantic kernel release, so we'll try and get one out early next week with that PR included. On the thinking budget versus thinking mode, I don't know whether you're in a position to create a PR with a fix for that. If you could, yeah, we can try and get that one merged and included in the upcoming release as well.
Yeah, I'd love that. I tried actually, but I've never done like open source contribution before, and I tried it, but it just basically my laptop crashed when I opened the whole project. So I'll try it again if I can get something running. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Grand. Yeah. No, I'll take an action on that one. And if you're having trouble, I don't know if you've got an issue open at the moment, but if you do, I'll look out for it, and we can have a conversation via the issue then, like, to get that resolved.
All right. Thank you.
That's great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so who's next? So Jason.
Hey, thanks. So I noticed that one of the hosted options is hosting the agents through Azure Functions. And when I was looking at the documentation, it was showing like a couple of different examples where you can communicate with the agents. And I think there was like a runs endpoint, maybe something else. But I was having trouble finding like a full API spec of the API to interact with agents deployed to Azure Functions.
Okay. I think, yeah. So it's a separate team actually who contributed that functionality, the durable task extension, right? So what I can do is, like, I know they've presented on this at Ignite, and I think they did a lab on this at Ignite as well. Let me do the following, Jason. Right, I'll reach out to them and I'll see if I can get some links to some documentation, which I can share, and I'll invite them to office hours next week, so they can kind of come along. I think it would be good for them maybe to present what they've built, and then if you're able to make it, you'll be able to ask your question to them directly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. And Irina?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. First of all, a little note. I want to thank you for the flow, because a while ago I tried handoff with semantic kernel. It was, yes, a little bit more complicated to make it work the way I wanted. And the flow, I tried the new agent framework and the workflow builder, and it's amazing. Like, I have a very simple case, but yeah, I want to thank you for your work, guys. So the question is, I have two agents, and whether it's just like your opinion, probably, if I can share my screen. I actually have two questions. One question is regarding the add edge, add chain, and forward, because inside add chain and forward, they do add edge as well. So what is the principal difference between them? right? Do I understand correctly that chained and forward, they basically connect, that they do edging? So what is the difference, real difference between them? Or it's just like for flexibility to be able to have like a multiple when we chain, because we pass executors as well. And another, is it fine? Because you see, I'm passing executor binding. My executor bindings are actually 2-in-1. My executor acts as an executor and acts as an agent inside. So, but it's working fine. I want to thank you again. This workflow is really great. So yeah, the question is this like, do they have some use cases which would be like better, these functions would be better, like, suitable, or I don't know how to ask. Like, I hope you understand what I'm
Sure.
asking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I think unfortunately, like most of the people who worked on kind of like workflows are out at the moment. So I don't know, Tao, I think is the only person who's here. Tao, are you familiar with the .NET implementation?
No, I'm not super familiar with forward message. Are you saying that edge and forward message have the same effect?
I didn't test it, but I see that it's inside does the same at edge, source and target.
And
I see switch,
if you look at the
switch, and switch is just like a for predicate, right? Like to enable the predicate.
Yes, switch is kind of like multi-selection, right? As long as a case is matched, and one of the cases is matched, then it will forward it to that target, right? So at chain, it's more like you're adding multiple executors, and then you're creating an edge between, say if you're adding one ABC and you're adding an edge between A and B and another edge between B and C.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like
that's
one to
normally
many, basically, right?
Not one to many.
No?
It's kind of like a sequence.
All right.
Right. It's a sequence.
Okay.
It's just a helper method for you so that you don't have to write multiple at edge.
All right. So yeah,
multiple
it's just
edge
like
calls.
So yeah,
Yeah, so
otherwise I
that's
would
the
have edge from first to second, then edge from second to third, then from third to fourth, and I'll just chain them in one call.
Yes,
all right. So
correct.
it's clear.
Yeah,
all right.
forward message. Yeah, I think it's also for, your one-to-many. You're sending from one source to multiple targets, right? So I would use the most basic API possible to avoid any confusion, right? So if at edge,
edge works for me. Yes, I have two agents and they are executors. Yeah, and it's wonderful. And I like the fact that actually I can catch both from both the results.
Oh yeah, you can add executor.
It's really.
Yeah, you can add an edge between an agent and an executor. So underneath, we're kind of wrapping that agent in a dedicated executor.
Yeah, and one more question regarding the send and yield, because they both yield. Like, what is the difference again? Because I found, like, I looked through this sample on GitHub, and I see that like, who is the receiver of the sent and of the yielded? Like, is there a difference again?
Yes. So there are two different APIs, and send message is you're sending that message to so say you have an executor A, right? Then it has and you set up a couple of edges that connect A to B and A to C and A to D, right? So when you call send message without a target, those messages will get sent through those edges to the connected executors, right? So that's the communication between executors. Whereas you output the data, whatever you put into into you output will get surfaced as an output event to the workflow. So you as the caller of the workflow will get those data. Whereas send message is just internal.
Mm-hmm. So basically, these two results, these two outputs are returned by the yield method, right? To the caller.
Yeah, so
The caller of the run. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in your line 22, you're looking through the events, right? So one of the events, eventually you will get an event that is of the type workflow output events on line 30. You have that. So that event is created by the U output async API. Right, it's just an event, and then the data it's wrapped inside that event, right? Whereas if you use send messages, those are just for communication between executors, right? You won't get, as the caller of the workflow, you won't get those messages, you know.
It's not like final output and okay.
Yeah, so output is kind of like the final output, but then because in a workflow there's no definition of ending, you can run the workflow indefinitely, and then you can use output occasionally. So it's not like the final thing, right? It's just like if you run the workflow, it could, you know, every 1 second or so, you know, or a random period, you could use an output, right? And that would be kind of like it becomes an event to the caller, saying that the output actually the workflow actually outputted something, but it doesn't mean the output ended. It doesn't necessarily mean the workflow has ended, right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah, really, really great. I'm excited about this. So, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Irene, and thanks for the feedback. Luis, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. Am I able to share my screen as well?
Sure, go for it.
So I'm trying to use the O3 deep research model. This is from the new Foundry documentation. We also have this working as a public preview on the previous V1 of AI agents. But this is for the new, I guess, the new Foundry. And this integration makes use of the responses API. And the requirement is to make use of background response, I guess. And the notifications are provided via webhooks. And my question here is, via webhook. And so I want to see if the agent background responses, if there's an ETA for that on the Python version of Agent Framework. I believe there's something already working for C#. But for Python, it is not there yet. So just basically, I'm trying to set up that, to make use of Agent Framework with O3 Deep Research and receive notifications via webhook given that it's a long running process, so that I can get a notification when it completes and the intermediate steps.
Okay, so let me just ask Sergey first. This webhook integration, is that something that we support on the .NET side? Just want to clarify that first.
We don't have any building blocks for supporting that, but again, so that the design we have for background responses doesn't prevent you using the hook. So hook is something that I believe belongs to the host, and hook should be exposed as probably RESTful API so that the agent can call that hook. and the host needs to intercept that hook. And as soon as the hook is intercepted, what host need to do is basically create a continuation token out of the ID from that hook.
Okay, I got it.
And
then
that
just going to call into our API then, yeah.
Yeah, and basically that bit is missing. So the bit that allow you to create a continuation token out of the identifier that was sent within a hook, because the hooks are usually, well, there are different types of hook, but like if you're talking about the slim hook, most likely contain the ID saying, hey, this task or this response is kind of like a finished. And what we need, the bit which is missing is allowing you to grab that ID and create a continuation token out of it.
Okay, Randy. Yeah. Okay. Well, we can try and we'll make sure we've got a task to kind of like, you know, build a sample for that at some point in the future. But okay, so yeah, thanks, Sergey. Then for Luis's question about the Python implementation, Dimitro, is that something that's on your plate to look at?
Yes, it's on my radar, and I think we will add this implementation pretty soon on Python side as well.
Okay, so do we have an item that Luis can track?
Yes, we should have an item. Let me find it and share it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yeah. So hopefully Luis will get to it in, you know, in the next couple of weeks or whatever. You know. So yeah.
Well, I already saw the people involved, so I'll bug you. Hopefully, if once I see those updates on the issue tracking. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a good signal that somebody's waiting for this, so we can prioritize it accordingly.
Yeah, it's actually for a customer that is really eager to make use of this. They've already seen some demos that we provided to him, and the output for the deep research. They really liked it, and they're more than eager to already put this to the works. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. And Jason.
Hey, so my company, we have an MCP server, and in order to connect to that MCP server, we have to supply a API subscription key, and then based on that key, we figure out who the user is, and then we filter out certain data. It's just like creates like permissions around what data that user can see based on the subscription key. So if we were to deploy, if I had an agent that's connected to this MCP server and I wanted to deploy it to Azure AI Foundry, is there a way that when a user wants to use my agent in AI Foundry, they would be able to supply that subscription key for the MCP server and then have that passed down and then connect to that MCP server using that subscription key? Like essentially maybe pass it through like a header or something.
Yeah. So as far as I know, there is the ability to send additional headers when you're calling an MCP. I don't know, Giles or Dimitro, do we have any samples showing this?
So this is not sending it to MCP, but connecting to the agent in Foundry is what I mean, and then passing that value down.
Oh, okay. So when you
then connect to the MCP server using that.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I think we need to kind of like look into this, unless somebody on the call is aware of a sample, or if we've tackled this before. I think we might need to look into this and see what options exist.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So, but yeah, I'll just take a note of that, and I'll it might be tricky to get an answer in the next kind of couple of days because of vacation, but if you come along kind of like next week, I should have an answer for you by then. Actually, you know what you could do, Jason? Create an issue in the repository, and we can use that to track this. You know. So.
Okay. The GitHub repo.
Yeah. In the agent framework repository, create an issue there.
Okay. Sure. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, so I haven't been tracking questions in the chat. So does anybody have an outstanding question that hasn't been answered and they'd like to come off mute?
Hey Mark, this is Suresh here. So is there a way to get hold of the prior past recordings of these office hours?
Yes, yeah. So we've started the process of uploading them again, and so we should have the last 2 or 3 have been uploaded already. We've got quite a backlog to kind of get through, and there's another team actually that handles all the requests. But is there a yeah, we'll just kind of continue to kind of work on that over the next number of weeks, right? But you should see them appear on Reactor pretty soon.
Is there a link to it, or we just go through this existing one and I should be able to find the last 2?
Yeah, it should be. Let me dig. I don't know if anybody has the link handy. Yeah, so it's the same location that we've been using for a while, right? Okay, yeah, so just pasted a link into the chat, and yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see November 12th and November 5th, and then there's a big gap back to May. But yeah, we'll be filling in that gap over over the next kind of couple of weeks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, Rasmus?
Yeah, last week where there was very few on, we talked about that the GitHub project for the agent framework is not public.
Oh, yes, yeah. I think there was some discussion on that. I don't think there's any reason for us not to make it public. I just want to confirm with Sean. He's out at the moment, right? But I'll confirm with him on Monday, and then we'll make a project. All of the information is coming from the issues. I think the only thing you can't see is what the team is working on week to week and the various backlogs that we're putting together. But yeah, I think we should be able to make that public early next week.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so anyone else have any questions? Okay, then if there's yeah, no more questions. Okay, thanks very much everyone for joining, and yeah, we'll post this recording in the next couple of days. And yeah, and happy Thanksgiving to any of our US friends. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks all. Take care.
Thank you. Have a nice time of the day. Bye.
folks, I'm going to stop where I'm recording. There's a few people still here.